One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet whom millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
Just as importantly, bringing back empowerment will give us a crucial tool with which to obliterate the deep state. That was only the beginning. With your support in 2024, we are going to put America first like never before, and we are going to finish the job that we so successfully started. You know, many people, it was 4 years, but many people say it was one of the most successful presidencies ever. Some people say it was the most successful presidency. When I get back into the Oval Office, I will totally obliterate the deep state. They will be obliterated. When I get back into the Oval Office, I will totally obliterate the deep state.
How many of you listened to this campaign speech that was going on for better part of a year? And how many times he said those words, when I get back in office, I am going to obliterate the deep state. Didn't say I'm going to go after them. Didn't say I'm going to, maybe put a few of them in jail. He said I'm going to obliterate the deep state. I could have gone on with that montage for probably an hour. He was saying it over and over and over again. And here we are in September, almost October of 2025, and it doesn't seem as though the Democrats really believed him or thought it would be possible for him to do what he is actually doing right now. I've said it many times. I'm seeing other people begin to say it on the news. The Democrats have nothing left. There is nothing they can do to stop this man, and he's only 9 months into his presidency. That's it. He's only 9 months in, and he's rendered them completely irrelevant and useless. There's nothing they can do to stop him, and they're on the cusp of a government shutdown, which is going to allow him to fire thousands of deep state actors. Just imagine you're sitting there right now and you're one of these people, these deep state people, who've been entrenched and have been running government for decades, and now you realize somebody has come on the scene who's actually going to obliterate you. People have had enough. They've been bamboozled. The left is completely gaslit. Many of them are never coming back. And the only question that remains, because I can see what President Trump is doing, you can see what President Trump is doing, the only thing that remains to be answered is, are you ready to do what you're going to need to do to help obliterate the deep state? As I've mentioned many times on this show, this is not going to be a watch from the bleachers opportunity. You're going to have to get dirty. It's just a matter of time before it ends up on your doorstep where you're going to have to act. You better get ready. I can see all the people that need to beginning to understand this is about to get deep. This is going to get very deep, deep state. Do you think that these people are going to roll over? Do you think these people who have done ungodly things to other people, who have gotten ungodly rich off of the things they have done to other people, who've amassed an amazing amount of power? Money is second to the power. They've become drunk on the power they've had over not just the United States, over the world. And you think all of a sudden they're going to go, well, this guy Trump's here, I guess it's over. It ain't ever going to be like that. They are now going to have to go the next level. They've exhausted every other means at their disposal. They couldn't beat him politically. They can't beat him in lawfare. They can't really beat him with the craziness of the MK Ultra gaslight scenario. They can't win anywhere. And it's just 9 months in. And they're, 72 hours, 48 hours away from seeing it completely crumble, where everybody's saying, yeah, football games are on. I don't give a crap if the government shuts down. Shut it down. They have no hand. Nobody cares if the government shuts down. And they played a hand. They must have walked into this poker match with a pair of deuces thinking they could bluff their way through it as if they had some power. They got nothing. Nothing. They can't sue their way out of this. They can't vote their way out of this. And President Trump is just bringing on the continuing full frontal assault. Not giving them any time to recoil and regroup. After everything that we've seen in the last couple of weeks, now he's going into the Supreme Court saying, yep, I got to get rid of this birthright stuff. Nope, just because you were born here doesn't make you an American. And you're proving it to him. And they can't stop him. All of the lower court decisions are being axed one after the other. There's no votes available until next November. And so what do you do if you're them? What do you do at this point when you have nothing you can do? Even the media, nobody cares. They've exhausted. Finally, everybody realizes the media is full of crap. So the only thing left that they have is why you need to be vigilant and diligent. The only thing they have inside that arsenal, that quiver that they store their arrows in, the only thing they have left is violence. And I'm not just talking physical violence. I'm talking financial violence. I'm talking about internet violence, making things go dark, doing everything they can to stop you from being able to live your life so they can say, look, it's Trump's fault. Oh, you got no internet? Nah, sorry. Oh, there's a big storm that came out of nowhere. I don't know how that happened. Oh, they're taking pot shots at people from roofs. Oh, they're going into restaurants and disrupting businesses and breaking windows. That's the only thing they have, but it's unfortunate for them that the only thing they have available to them to stop President Trump and MAGA is going to drive more people to MAGA. Quite the quandary they find themselves in. We all know it's going to be them. Our lives are getting better. So if the internet goes down and we go dark for 10 days, we know who did it. We know if a storm just shows up in one area, like it has been a couple times here, we're going to know who did it. When people start taking pot shots at roofs and ice people and disrupting things, we're going to know who's responsible. And so the very nature of the arrows in their quiver that they have are only going to make things worse for them in the long run. Some of us may be affected. Some of us may be hurt. Some of us may be killed. But they can't stop what's happening. You know, I look back, I've never been a big historian. In fact, Robin laughs at me. She goes, there's two things you know nothing about. And one of them is geography, because I can't even point to things on a map. I have no idea. And the other one is history. She's like, did you sleep through history class? Pretty much. I looked at history class like I look at TCM. I'm looking at a bunch of dead people. I don't know. My ignorance now has turned to diligence. My ignorance is like, well, I better start reading up on some of this history stuff because I see it repeating. See, some of the people, some of you who may be old enough to remember, are seeing some of the stuff that we've seen historically begin to repeat. And we also remember the outcome of those things that are repeating. You know, many of us, I was too young, but I definitely knew about JFK. I knew about Martin Luther King. I knew about RFK. I knew what they did to the Shah of Iran. I know what they did in Libya. I know all these things. I know Benghazi. I know they will do the darkest of things to maintain power. So if you know it as well, then you also know that it could happen at any time. It could happen at a football game today. It could happen in a grocery store, in a mall. You know, one of the things that bothers me is we're coming up to the most important familial days on the calendar. You know, we're stone's throw away from kids having Halloween, which most can't do anymore because they kind of took that away. Then we have the familial tradition of Thanksgiving. Then we have the familial tradition of Christmas. And then we have somewhat of a familial event at New Year's Eve. Now, two of those things, those two bookends, you don't really get to go out anymore on Halloween because it's too terrifying. And many of us won't even venture out on New Year's Eve anymore because that's kind of terrifying. And then, you know, we don't drink as much anymore, or not at all. And the bands suck. Nobody wants to do that. But those other two are still dear to us. We still love what Thanksgiving means, and we obviously love what Christmas means. And so understand that between now, basically the first week of October, and January, there's a whole lot of opportunity for the bad guys to do bad things because they have to. And when you recognize at this point, as you're being vigilant and diligent, you have to understand they will take their opportunity as it presents itself. There's been a saying in terrorism for quite some time is, we have to be right all the time. They just have to be right once. So they can scope out the water supplies. They can scope out the crowd control. They can scope out the airports. They can do all this stuff. We're just living our lives trying to do the best thing possible for ourselves and our family. And there are going to be people now even more emboldened to take an opportunity against Trump, you, me, Americans. It's not going to be easy. And everything you know about the American Revolution and everything you know about the Civil War, good people had to get involved to save the country. Good people in any way, shape, or form that they could, had to make sure they were supporting America. A while back, I said something to somebody, and people actually got pissed off at me. I said, if you're not prepared to be on the front lines, then go make the cookies. You're still valuable because you're going to be feeding, metaphorically speaking, the front line. The front line needs to eat. They need to stay warm. They need clothing. Back in the day, women were knitting stuff and keeping people on the front line supplied so that they could do what they needed to do to keep the rest of us safe. And I had some people, are you just telling us to go in the kitchen and make biscuits? No, I'm telling you, do your part where you can do your part, what you're proficient at doing. But you can't be on the sidelines just watching the parade go by. You can't. We are way past that. If this man is going to spearhead taking down the deep state, this could be the final battle. I know we're all waiting for J.D. Vance to come up behind President Trump, but if they can stop MAGA now, who knows what's going to happen in the future? And they've already told us if they get back in power, we're going to have you up. So, do you want to be like President Trump and say, I'm going to obliterate the deep state? Or you want to be like the Democrats saying, yeah, it's not going to happen. Yeah, he won't do it. Because that's what will happen in 2028. I know Hakeem Jeffries and Schumer and Swalwell, they're all saying this stuff, but it won't happen. Oh crap, it's happening. And you can see all the other countries, not all, but many countries around the world waiting, hoping that this country goes down. Digital ID? Are you effing serious, England? Have you seen some of these countries? Have you seen France? Have you seen Italy? Not so much Italy, Spain, where they're just France. They're just hellholes. Where women can't go out at night. Where some men can't go out at night. If you don't think it could happen here, sit back on the sidelines and say, life is great, everything's fine. While everybody else is going to try and do our best. It's going to get crazy. You can see what he's going to be doing right now. What I'm going to be covering today before I get out of here, showing you so much. This is Saturday. This is supposed to be sit back with some popcorn and chips and some dogs, little dogs, not hot dogs, and watch Notre Dame play. Watch your favorite football team play. There won't be any news on a Saturday, will there? Yeah. It's different now, isn't it? It's much different. There is so much news happening. I'm hoping I can get it all in today because I got to take Robin to go see Downton Abbey tonight, our date night on Saturday, because, man, there's so much going on. So much. And you need to be ready. And I don't just mean watching podcasts and clicking on the news. You need to be ready. Really ready. Because when your opponent has no alternative, when they have nothing else they can do, they are completely helpless. That's when they become completely desperate. And when people are desperate and hopeless, things can get very scary. And I guess for you to understand that, you have to believe that they're getting desperate. Maybe you're not at that point where you're like, I don't think it's that crazy. I think we're okay. I mean, they're doing what? Think about it. They are 72 hours, 48 hours away from the government shutting down and this president going, I don't care. And millions of people posting on X, I don't care. I got the one big beautiful bill passed. I got all the funding I need. I don't really care if it shuts down. And on top of that, let me pour some salt in your wound. I'm going to fire a whole bunch of your buddies. And I'm going to use the military to do this and do that. And I'm going to go after your funding. And I'm going to be surgical about destroying the deep state. So for those of you who haven't been paying attention, I'm going to try and outline some of that stuff today. And one of the things that happened literally about a couple hours ago was Hakeem Jeffries losing it. I mean, absolutely losing it when he went on Fox, or actually he was just on the news screaming about that. This is going around.
Of Homeland Security has done. The Department of Homeland Security put out a hit list directed at Democratic members of Congress, Democratic governors, and Democratic officials. It's a hit list saying to crazies all across the country, target these people. And so, no, we're not going to be lectured by the Department of Homeland Security. Take your hit list down.
A hit list is what he's talking about. There are a lot of people, frankly, who would argue that's incredibly irresponsible to make that suggestion. 30 seconds, I want to give you a chance to respond.
He's detached from reality. We saw what just happened at our Dallas ICE facility, where it was shot up by a lunatic, by a deranged individual, and he's been emboldened, and others like him have been emboldened by a lot of the rhetoric we're seeing out of Democrat politicians like Hakeem Jeffries, who continues to demonize and dehumanize our ICE law enforcement, calling them Nazis, calling them the Gestapo. It has to stop now.
And
you see, what he's referring to actually comes across as somewhat of a hit list. Sorry, call it what it is, but the fact of the matter is we're not taking it anymore, Hakeem. This was posted, and this is in the show notes. The White House releases a list of political agitators. A deadly assault on an ICE field office in Dallas is now being tied to years of inflammatory rhetoric from top Democrats. Officials say a gunman with anti-ICE ammunition specifically targeted federal agents in a politically motivated attack. The administration points to a staggering 1,000% surge in assaults on ICE personnel, arguing that the escalation mirrors the language of elected leaders. From calling agents Gestapo to slave patrols, the White House warns that these labels have crossed into dangerous incitement. So the president, or someone in the president White House, actually put out a list. I think if I make this bigger, it might not show. It's still so long. But they list a whole bunch. I mean, you can find this in the show notes. A whole bunch of Democrats who have said incendiary things. Tim Walz smeared ICE as the modern-day Gestapo. Governor Newsom likened ICE to secret police, calling them authoritarian and proclaiming a right to push back. Pritzker claimed the country is becoming Nazi Germany because ICE is grabbing people off the street and disappearing them. Robert Kelly smeared ICE as the Gestapo and a betrayal. See, the problem the Democrats are having is that's their own words. That's not a hit list. That's what they actually said. They go through, and there's probably, I mean, I can't scroll down here on this screen, but there's probably 75 instances where Democrat politicians said something. These are all senators, mayors, governors, representatives who actually said the words out of their mouths. They're all quotes. And Hakeem Jeffries is losing his crap because he's like, it's a hit list. No, it's just quoting what you guys actually have said. It's categorizing it so everybody can see it. Stuff like this is why I want to do the show notes so people can see and keep track of, hey, when did so-and-so say this? Right here. You know, let me give you a little hint in regards to how to use X. Maybe nobody's told you this. Don't use X on your phone or on your computer just by going into the timeline. If you're a paid subscriber, blue check, or whatever you want to call it, and you want to really dig deep in some of these people, you can set up columns in X Pro. And you can use the word Gestapo, you can use the word Nazi, and it'll pull up every single tweet that has that. So it's very easy to catalog once you stop using the surface level X in terms of just scrolling. You can build columns. You can put different things in that column. You can put in there, show me everything that Hakeem Jeffries says within 20 minutes of him saying it. Don't do it at the end of the day. Make sure we have AOC. You can categorize everything so you can be right there. You ever wonder hey man, how is this guy always the first person to comment? He's not waiting for it in his stream. He has an X category, X Pro. And that way you can see it as soon as it happens. And if you're not at your computer or on your phone, you could wait and then hit your category button and it'll all come out. It's easy to categorize these people, just that most people won't do the work. So, what are you willing to do? Do the work. And when these people post stuff like this, be right on it. Call them out. It happens because I posted some stuff today about what's going on in Portland, and we'll be talking about it. And right away, literally with 30 seconds, a whole bunch of libnuts tried to attack me. I mean, of course, the delete button works very well as block, delete, delete, block, block, block. But that's how they know. They don't know who I am. How did they all of a sudden find my post? They know if something comes up with the word Portland in it, or Portland and ICE, then we better go ahead and attack. It's like clockwork. And once they realize you ain't having it, I got nothing to say to you, they don't come back in droves. But you can just do that very quickly. That's a little off-the-cuff hint for you, is to use X Pro if you are a paid subscriber. If you're not a paid subscriber of X, then you're not going to be able to do that. So, that regards. Just letting you know. Quick break, talk about our sponsor this hour. I'm going to start doing things differently, and this our sponsor is Juvenon. Today's show is brought to you by Juvenon. Are you feeling tired, sluggish, or foggy? It could be poor blood flow. Blood Flow 7 by Juvenon is scientifically designed to support healthy circulation, so you'll feel energized, clear-headed, and vibrant again. It's packed with natural ingredients like nitrocyanine, I hope I said that correctly, S7, and trans resveratrol. Blood Flow 7 works by boosting nitric oxide levels, a molecule that relaxes blood vessels, helping your blood flow freely to every corner of your body. And that means more oxygen and nutrients to your brain, heart, muscles, and even those places that might need a little extra help as you age.
They call it a lifting. They also use another word, but I'm not going to use that word. You know what that is? The word, it starts with an E. You know what the word is? If I ever used it, I'd be run out of town by you people.
Oh, behave. Yeah. Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Let's talk about the fact that President Trump incited an erection.
Explanation was not they didn't like Donald Trump. They said he participated in an erection.
With just one dose a day, you can reclaim your stamina, support heart health, and improve overall vitality, all without any caffeine or stimulants. Try Blood Flow 7 today and feel the difference where it matters most, inside your veins. All right, so I'm back here. Like I said, if you can afford it and it's something you want to do, I'm not telling you have to do or pushing it. I don't get any cut of it. But X Pro is $300. Don't need it, but if I had a channel, I would use it. $300. I think it's $30-40 a month. So if you can't afford it, not at all trying to tell you, but I'm just giving those who can. Here's a little bit of a hint in terms of what you can do. So that's where it is. Let me look around here, some more comments here. And believe me, I'm not telling you to go ahead and purchase it. Don't buy anything you can't afford or don't want. But there are people in here who are serious warriors with their keyboards who would like to hint. I'm like, hey, how do I make my experience on X better, more fruitful, more efficient? That's why I was telling people. Thank you. These people are mentally insane. Sorry for that. No worry. I understand that some people won't be able to do it, but that's okay. This is not going to be a financial show. Don't worry. I'm not going there. All right. So, but if you don't want to, then you can just you can just come on in here. All right. So, in any event, let's continue with today's show, and we'll take some more comments as we go through. So I want to show you some things. First, let's talk about something that President Trump posted. He posted a couple things recently. I'm going to go to the most recent of these things because it's funny. SV saw it and he goes, "Come," and I'm like, might be, because this is what he posted. That's it. No words, nothing. This was posted at 2:45 p.m. 246 just a little while ago before we came on, and it's just one image with Jerome Powell hitting the bricks. You're fired. And I was waiting to see, is there going to be something else? No, nothing has happened. He's not fired, but he's mentioning something for sure, that may be coming our way. So we'll wait and see if he follows that up with anything later this afternoon. But that was his most recent post. Now let's get to probably one of the big ones. You ready for this one? All right. Deep state attack engaged. It was just revealed that the FBI had secretly placed against all rules, regulations, protocols, and standards 274 FBI agents into the crowd just prior to and during the January 6th hoax. This is different from what Christopher Wray stated over and over again. By the way, that's called perjury. That's right. As it now turns out, FBI agents were at and in the January 6th protests, probably acting as agitators and insurrectionists, but certainly not acting as law enforcement officials. I want to know who each... Okay, this is where it gets really interesting. He's given Kash Patel a directive. I want to know, me, the President of the United States, I want to know who each and every one of these so-called agents are, and what they were up to on that now historic day. Many great American patriots were made to pay a very big price only for the love of their country. I owe this investigation of dirty cops and crooked politicians to them. Christopher Wray, the then director of the FBI, has some major explaining to do. That's two in a row, Comey and Wray, who got caught lying. With our great country at stake, we can never let this happen to America again. So as they say in NFL draft terms, Christopher Wray, you are now on the clock. The President of the United States has publicly given Kash Patel and Pam Bondi a little bit of homework and has said, bring me the heads of these people who were at this rally speech that turned into something much bigger. I want their names, and I want it now. And Christopher Wray, you're on the clock. That is absolutely huge, because at this point, he's coming for the deep state again. Just went after Comey. Now he's going after further in the deep state. So let me give you a little bit of a walk down memory lane and why Christopher Wray is up deep, deep poop coop.
It's our constitutional duty to do oversight. Now, in that video, that was your answer to a question to me 2 years ago, when I said how many agents or assets of the government were present on January 5th and January 6th and agitating in the crowd to go into the Capitol, and how many went into the Capitol. Can you answer that now?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Oh, last time, you don't know how many there were, or there were none?
I don't know the answer to either of those questions. If there were any, I don't know how many. I don't know whether there are any.
I think you may have just perjured yourself that you don't know that there were any. You want to say that again, that you don't know that there were any?
I have no personal knowledge of this matter. I think what I...
All right, so now looking back, we're looking back years and going, oh, okay, so now nobody wanted to prosecute them before, and now all this stuff is on tape. Just waiting for someone to go, wait a second. Are you sure this is what you want to say? Now that we can see all the records that are left, now we can get different whistleblowers who were involved. Other people are trying to save their own asses at this point, because there's probably quite a few people out there in the FBI or were with the FBI that have been contacted and are trying to save their own butts right now. Again, by the time President Trump posted that, he's now making it public. You know, Pam Bondi and Kash Patel, they weren't doing anything. Oh, really? Now he's basically saying the restaurant is open. But that restaurant had to get built. And it started being built a few months ago before it starts taking customers. And so by him giving you the invitation to come to the grand opening, No grand opening of any business anywhere happens without all the due diligence, work, and investment done beforehand. So now he's saying, hey, I want to know every single one of these people who were involved. I want to know who knew they knew that they were involved. And I want to find out what Christopher Wray knew. Which, like any good lawyer is, you never ask a question you don't already know the answer to. Merrick Garland never foresaw that this testimony was going to come back and bite him in the rear.
The last time.
You've had 2 years to find out. And the day, by the way, that was in reference to Ray Epps, and yesterday you indicted him. Isn't that a wonderful coincidence? On a misdemeanor. Meanwhile, you're sending grandmas to prison. You're putting people away for 20 years for merely filming. Some people weren't even there yet. You've got the guy on video who's saying go into the Capitol. He's directing people to the Capitol before the speech ends. He's at the site of the first breach. You've got all the goods on him, 10 videos, and it's an indictment for a misdemeanor? The American public isn't buying it. I yield the balance of my time to Chairman Jordan.
May I answer the question?
I'm going to ask you one now. We'll let the gentleman.
Yeah.
Go ahead, but
in discovery, in the cases that were filed with respect to January 6, the Justice Department prosecutors provided whatever information they had about the question that you're asking. With respect to Mr. Epps, the FBI has said that he was not an employee or informant of the FBI. Mr. Epps has been charged, and there's a proceeding, I believe, going on today on that subject.
The charge is a joke. I yield to the chairman.
Two were there. Now, here's what's interesting. The reason why you're going to be hearing this stuff come up now, years later, is because we weren't allowed to talk about it. We weren't allowed to show, hey, what do you mean insurrection? Do you not see what Merrick Garland and Chris Wray and Ray Epps are? You couldn't even say the name Ray Epps. I'm taking a chance now. Maybe they don't let me talking about Ray Epps. All the chickens are coming back home, and unfortunately for them, there are too many people who know too much. There are too many former agents, existing agents, whistleblowers that know too much. But there was nobody that was ever going to take any action on this. No, now statutes of limitation are coming close, and President Trump and Pam Bondi and Kash Patel know that, and now they're starting to see the action. Now you're going to start seeing these things fall, which is why, like I said, it's probably going to get a little crazy. This is Andy Biggs. I think this one he's talking to Christopher Wray.
An undercover capacity on January 6th, how many were there?
Again, I'm not sure that I can give you that number as I sit here. I'm not sure there were undercover agents on scene.
Now, see that answer right there? I'm not sure there were undercover agents on scene. Meaning, and the question is, well, oh, wait a second. Were they just on scene but not undercover? How many people do you have there? And now we're finding out 275. And he's tap dancing around these questions, and they're going to catch him in a lie here. Watch, very surgical.
I find that kind of a remarkable statement, Director. At this point, you don't know whether there were undercover federal agents, FBI agents, in the crowd or in the Capitol on January 6th?
I say that because I want to be very careful. There have been a number of court filings related to some of these topics, and I want to make sure that I stick within what's in.
I understand that, but I thought I heard you say you didn't know whether there were FBI agents or informants or human sources in the Capitol or in the vicinity on January 6th. Did I misunderstand you? I thought that's what you said.
Well, I referred very specifically to undercover agents.
Yeah.
Did you notice that? He caught the same thing. I was specifically talking about undercover agents. Well, what about the other ones? How are you defining undercover? And I found it interesting when Andy Biggs is talking, the guy sitting next to him is obviously Mike Johnson, who is now the Speaker of the House. So everybody saw him say this. This is on tape, and he's basically lying right to their faces.
And so are you acknowledging then there were undercover agents?
As I sit here right now, I do not believe there were undercover agents on scene.
Let me ask you this.
All right, so that's what we're going to have to find out. He's saying, I don't believe there were, quote, he kept saying the word undercover. And when that comes to being tasked with finding out his veracity or his truth, he's going to have to prove that, yeah, there were some people there, but they, quote, weren't undercover. Well, what the hell do you consider undercover? Were they wearing jackets? Did they have their FBI logos? And he may say, well, there's no specific FBI uniform, which I don't know if there is. But he was dancing and hanging on that word undercover. But he never said, no, there were no FBI agents in the crowd. But whistleblowers are talking.
Because to me, on January 6th, you are Chief Stephen's son. You are head honcho. You are king of the Capitol. You know, it's your responsibility. It's your role to make sure everything's tied down. And you obviously did your job by trying to do your diligence beforehand and were stifled at every single moment, right? So to me, it seems now I'm not a career law enforcement guy. I've never been in law enforcement. I probably never be in law enforcement. To me, as just a pedestrian, it seems like if I'm the FBI, if I'm the federal government, I'm going to pick up the phone and say, hey, Chief, just want to let you know, we know January 6th is supposed to maybe get a little bit crazy. We'll have 300 agents there for you. They'll be plainclothes. There'll be some guys not in plainclothes. Is that?
Notice the change in terminology. Undercover versus plainclothes. Is plainclothes a different terminology than undercover? Was Christopher Wray playing a word salad there? Oh, there was nobody undercover. They were plainclothes. So how's that going to play with a jury? How is a jury where most of us would consider plainclothes? Well, yeah, that's undercover. But I've never seen what an FBI uniform even looks like. And the guy who he's talking to here was at that time the head of the Capitol Police.
A rational thing for me to be thinking that, hey, we'll pick up the phone and say, hey, Chief, you'll have 300 guys there if you need them. Here's your point of contact for January 6th. Let us know if you need anything else.
Well, take it a step further. If they were saying that they were going to have that group in the crowd already, most likely what they'd do is they'd put a liaison up in my command center. I mean, if you're going to have that type of assets and resources deployed onto someone's jurisdiction, you're going to put somebody in their command center. So that's key. And you said something really interesting coming into that as the chief, you're kind of king of the castle. The only problem with the Capitol is the bureaucracy. Even though I was the chief of police, there was a chief law enforcement officer for the House and a chief law enforcement officer for the Senate that sat over top of me. That created the big bureaucracy that I ran into. So you'd like to think the chief could call the shots, especially with my experience. Not the case on January 6th.
Yeah, I wasn't saying it, putting the blame on you in any way.
Oh, no, I was just so your viewers kind of get a picture. It's like no other jurisdiction in the world. They really need to fix that.
So he's telling you that they didn't come to me. So if they didn't come to him, then they were undercover. Which is it, Christopher Wray? Were they undercover? Were they plainclothesmen? Were they Trump supporters just hanging out on their day off? This is what's going to begin digging in, and President Trump just posted, time to get dirty here. Time for us to begin looking at exactly what's going to be happening. Wouldn't want to be him. Wouldn't want to be him today whatsoever. And so now I'm going to segue into the next part of this, and the next part of this is the deep state money. So we got January 6th being dug into. We have President Trump posting that, hey, listen, I want to know every single person who's there. I want to know all of them. I want to know who told them to go. I want to know who they were reporting to. And that's about to happen. Now, they're also now turning their focus to funding. Now, I want you to listen to this because it's probably something you never put together, I never put together, and it's very interesting in terms of what some of these people were doing to fund the illicit activities of the deep state.
Someone can get an NGO stood up for a fairly small amount of money, like George Soros was really good at this. Like George Soros is like a system hacker. Like he figured out how to hack the system. He's a genius at arbitrage. I mean, these days he's pretty old, but a genius at arbitrage. So he figured out that you could leverage a small amount of money to create a nonprofit, then lobby the politicians to send a ton of money to that nonprofit, so you can take what might be, a $10 million donation to a nonprofit to create a nonprofit and leverage that into $1 billion NGO. A nonprofit is a weird word. It's just a non-governmental organization, and then the government continues to fund that every year, and it'll have a nice sounding name like the Institute for Peace or something like that. But really, it's a graft machine.
And what are their requirements with that money? What do they have to do?
Just really no requirements at all.
So they just get grants and the government just assumes that they're doing good work.
I think a lot of people in the government know that they're not doing good work, but it's a giant graft machine. I want to go to Ryan.
All right, so understand what Elon just said there in a little 90 seconds is that there are people out there who know how the government works or how it worked prior to President Trump coming in. And they knew if they started these NGOs, the Captains of America for Peace or whatever, and they cloaked it in something that sounded very altruistic, like it was there to help people, they could leverage a little bit of money and say, hey, I've got 100,000 in here. I just need like 8 million to basically ramp up. And of course, we know about Wally the Nigerian, and when whoever said okay to this stuff, they got that initial $8 million. And then they got it the next year. And the next year. And so Soros knew if he created these NGOs and seeded them all over the place. I don't know if you've ever seen a chart of some of these NGOs, but they're in the thousands. And said, let me put $1 million in each one of these NGOs, and then we'll get 10, 7, 9 million from the government for each one of them. It's a master, as he said, arbitrage. So you're telling me if I put up 100,000, if I put up $1 million, I can get 10x or 20x that money back from the government because I'm doing what they want me to do. Go out there and stir up crap. Yes. And it was been going on and on and on for decades. You saw it firsthand with a couple people who didn't know what to do with all the money, with the BLM people. They got in trouble because they got stupid. They decided they're going to form their little company and they're going to have their little NGO. And all of a sudden they're sitting on 10, 15, $20 million. And all these corporations are dumping money into BLM. And it started from nothing. And they're out there buying houses and cars and jewelry and everything, and they got stupid. You guys have seen the movie Goodfellas. Robert De Niro, the ass that he is, in that movie is telling, don't go out there flashing cash. Don't do it. Just lay low for a while. And then the guys who went out there flashing cash, they ended up getting whacked. Well, that's what's happening in the BLM right now. She just pled guilty for fraud. But if you're smart, if you're George Soros, you're like, these idiots, let's do it this way. And we're going to set up all these operations and we'll get the seed funding from the government. And then once we're on the government payroll, we're a line item in the budget. Hey, we need another $800 million this year appropriated. And Congress would appropriate the $800 million, and it's always got these NGOs in there. Your money, my money, all over the place. All over the place. Nobody, in fact, they said, we don't even know who they are. The invoice would come in and we're told not to do any sort of due diligence, just pay it. And I remember months ago telling you guys that, and there are people in chat going, what? Just pay it? Every year, every NGO. So if you're somebody like Soros who found this out, not a stupid guy, evil guy, but not a stupid guy, and Soros goes, nobody's looking at this money. And we can just keep doing this with every single one of these organizations that we want. And how many can we put together? I don't know, put 20 together, put 50 together, put 100 together. And your money keeps going to every single one of them. And some of them did some crazy stuff. Everybody knows about, Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. I showed you this story the other day. And this story, I think it was yesterday when I showed it to you. This was another one of a Epsteinian type guy, Howard Rubin. He got detained in a trafficking case. And his famed money manager was arrested in Connecticut on charges of trafficking and transporting women. And he's got a litany of stomach churning abusive acts against women in a dungeon. Judge ordered Rubin held without bail because he's got so much damn money. Where'd he get his money? Look at some of the stuff that we're saying down here. His firm had tens of millions of losses, but he still had the money. How did he get his money? Well, it looks like they've since sanitized. Oh, here it is, right here. The former Soros fund financier and his ex-personal assistant, which millions of Rubin's money operating and maintaining the traffic network. And then down here it says he had extraordinary wealth, some of which is held in accounts overseas. He had more than 74 million in the Cayman Island account. I don't want everybody ever telling me Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and those guys aren't doing work. Maybe just not the work they want people to be doing. You got to start wondering at this point. We're seeing these people being taken down. And then now the question is, just like the one question everybody wants to know about Epstein is, obviously who the customers were. But I have another question. Where did he get the money to own jets and property? And I had heard that the CEO of what's her name, Victoria's Secret, gave him an $80 million mansion in New York City. I don't just give away $80 million. Here, you can have it. Why? What did he know about you, or what were you doing that you felt comfortable enough giving somebody an $80 million house in New York City? The money was everywhere. And it was easy to get if you knew what to do. And it all started from Soros because he came on the scene and Hillary was so happy to talk about him. She did a speech. I'm so thankful for George Soros. I bet you are. He taught you how to grift. And it became so easy to steal from the American people. We saw what Doge uncovered. Doge just uncovered that in 2024 and 2025. You don't know how many decades worth of money came out of your pocket that just kept getting funding to the deep state, even for illicit activities like a dungeon.
Morrow, I talked to him earlier today because one of the things that we have to do is we have to stop the funding of all of these things that are on the left that we have honestly now started to find out. I mean, I've been exposing this stuff on chalkboards for years and years, almost 2 decades now, and how the George Soroses, et cetera, of the world are funding all of the worst of the worst. And Ryan has done his work and has really come up with some smoking guns, especially on George Soros. Donald Trump can use as RICO charges. And Ryan is here to lay this all out. What did you find, Ryan?
Well, we had some amazing findings according to George Soros's own files from his Open Society foundations. So myself, my colleagues at Capital Research Center, basically went through as many grants of his, as many funding streams as we could find. And here's the smoking guns that we believe that President Trump, if he's informed of it, can use to go after Soros's network of hate in various ways. We traced over $80 million going from the Open Society foundations to at least 54 groups engaged in crime and domestic terrorism on U.S. soil, or that are pro-terrorism, endorsing things like the October 7th attacks, or are associated with foreign terrorist organizations or explicitly pro-terror groups. And this is according to his own files, so it's rock solid. And over all of that amount, over 23 million went to at least 7 groups that are doing things that meet the FBI's definition of domestic terrorism.
Can you mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing. Now understand this, at the same time as Soros, because all of this is just ties together. Don't think that the FBI and Soros and January, it all ties together. It's one big incestuous family. In order for Soros to act with impunity, the FBI had to look the other way. It is insulting to think that the government wants to know if you got $600 by Venmo, and these people are pushing around tens of millions of dollars internationally, going through the United States banks, got the bankers involved, but you want to know about 600. They knew. They obviously knew. Which is why the Democrats right now are freaking out, because we know now. They're watching every single wire transfer go from every single account. They want to know where it is. I don't know if you've done a wire transfer lately. I told you last week, Robin and I closed on an investment property. We went to do a wire transfer and said, hey, here, you need to send this to this address. Okay, well, Mr. Cunningham, what's this for? What? What do you mean? I'm going to need you to fill out this form, and you got to just check these boxes. We got to make sure. It's my money. I'm telling you to wire it here. It don't work like that anymore. Now you got 2 or 3 pages of forms. You don't have to tell them specifically what it is, but you have to specifically tell them what it isn't. It's not going out of the country for this. It's not going out of the country for that. You're not doing this. You're not doing this. You're not doing that. No, I'm not doing any of that stuff. And on the bottom, when you get ready to sign, it says, and I remember clearly, under penalty of law, you're not committing, you would be committing perjury by answering these questions incorrectly or evasively. Oh, so if you're wiring money to BLM, they're going to know. And you can't get away from it, because now you'd be creating a federal offense by wiring your own money to someplace without telling the government in some way, shape, or form where it's going. So now the Democrats absolutely know everything is being watched, which is going to cause severe butt sphinctering. President Trump, as we were talking about Christopher Wray, I don't know, you listening, bro? Because maybe you are, because he just pushed this out literally about 10 minutes ago. For those who are interested, and there aren't many of you, Christopher Wray was recommended to me by sloppy Chris Christie when Chris was in, quote, good graces, which was a very long time ago. So some reason he felt the need to follow up that other post about Christopher Wray by saying part of the swamp sucked me in onto Christopher Wray. Chris Christie, who we now know is no fan of Donald Trump, was the one who brought Chris Christie to the table. Why did he have to put that out there? There is so much going on. It's funny, as I'm watching some of the people on Twitter now, calm, and I'm like, what? Why would, who cares if sloppy Chris Christie was the one who put him in touch with Christopher Wray? Unless, of course, now they're going to go after Chris Christie. So much trying to keep all the players on the board correct, so we know. But just to go back to like the Soros thing now the money is being watched, and it's easy. So this guy found traced $80 million of this money.
Rioting and things like that.
Can you be specific, more specific than this?
Absolutely. I'm happy to. So the Center for Third World Organizing, for example, is an organization that has a hub that fused together several really extreme organizations. We found $400,000 going to them, and they openly boast of the fact that they threw down during the uprisings in Minnesota, obviously referring to the rioting, and boasting of how many thousands of people they helped train. A lot of these groups have created what they'll call like a protest guide or an activism toolkit, and it sounds innocuous. Then you open it up and you'll see support for Hamas in it, but then they'll sometimes slyly say, for more information, go to these hyperlinks, and you go to the hyperlinks, and there'll be guides recommending things like property destruction, violence, false IDs, how to obstruct justice, all of these things, and they know darn well what they're doing. They don't put that there by accident. Some of the more careful ones will just direct their readership to anarchist websites with all that material, knowing that they'll see it when it's there.
All right, so he unpack, listen to what he said. So you have been paying Soros, you and I have been paying these organizations. I don't know if it's completely stopped, but I'm pretty sure based upon what we've seen, it has stopped. We also know, because of the Supreme Court decision yesterday, that billions got stopped. And President Trump can now begin stopping billions more. So slowly but surely, he's turning off the spigot, and the Democrats will have no funding. We're only 9 months in, and he already has the permission from the Supreme Court to begin dialing back the money on the deep state. That's absolutely, and we're talking billions. Not just the 80 million, that's just chump change. That's the money that fell between the seat. He got the approval yesterday from the Supreme Court. He can pull back billions, tens of billions. And that begs a differ, then where was it going? Well, he knows obviously now, because there's people like this guy who are digging in and finding all the different things where these stuff were going. In addition, he mentions a bunch of websites. These websites say, hey, how to build a Molotov cocktail and do all this stuff. Now they're going to begin, or if they haven't, they're tracking the traffic. Who's going to these websites? What phones? What GPSs? This is a massive undertaking to take down a deep state, and it's insane for people to say Kash Patel and Pam Bondi aren't doing anything.
And so, yeah, I mean, it's really stunning. And some of these groups are coalitions. So when I say 54 groups, just one of those might have 300 entities in that one. So it's actually, the real number is actually much higher.
Let me play something from October 2010, where I was talking about the RICO Act and George Soros. Listen to this.
But this is the ABCs of revolution. This is only a copy of it. I only have a copy of it. I don't have the original yet. They talk about urban guerrilla tactics. The instant any area is occupied by revolutionaries, it must be appropriated forthwith according to two incontestable principles: self-defense and free distribution of the goods produced. The best way to avoid isolation is to attack. Thus, one must, with an eye to the internationalist direction, remember, workers of the world unite, create other nuclei for occupations and appropriations, strengthen and protect liaison between revolutionary zones, isolate the enemy and destroy communications, use commando tactics to harass and rear guard and avoid encirclement by splitting up his forces, disorganize the counter-revolution by rendering its principal leaders and the best strategists harmless. Do you have that one? Disorganize the counter-revolution by rendering its principal leaders and the best strategists harmless. How do they do that? Is the left threatening? Is that something that people who are in that position should worry about their lives? Or is that just render them harmless by, well, let's just see if I can come up with a crazy example. Here, some rich dude takes $1 million and does everything they can to smear and discredit. By the way, George, have you ever heard of the RICO statute? Anyway.
As you're listening to that, I hope you saw the date. That was 2010. That was 15 years ago he said that. He was reading from their manifesto. And as he was saying it, you can probably recall different things and different times and different incidents where they were actually doing that. And then you think of President Trump, and they did exactly that. Their hope was to either put him in jail or make him completely irrelevant, and then we can just keep going with what we're doing. This is a Supreme Court decision from yesterday that I mentioned to you, but just now you can see how it ties together. Huge Supreme Court win for Trump. SCOTUS Rule 6-3 that Trump can pull the $4 billion in foreign aid back by a pocket rescission, which also gives Trump more runway to pull billions more back in foreign aids unilaterally. So billions of dollars just got taken off the ledger. Billions of dollars that were going to go to no place you could probably identify on a map. Billions. To do what Glenn Beck was just talking about. We have no idea where the money was going, but we have seen what the effects have been. Everybody can see this isn't organic. Everything we see in the streets right now is 100% put together by some unforeseen party. Not just the Democrats, they're foot soldiers. Somebody up here is calling all the shots. And they've been doing it with impunity with your money. Over and over and over and over and over across the world. And now, all of a sudden, one guy, that one man, has said, you know what? I'm going to obliterate the deep state. Oh, we got to take this guy out. Didn't work. Doesn't mean they're going to stop trying. And doesn't mean they're not going to try other ways because they can't do anything. You know, part of the reason why I wanted to show you this is to show you how desperate a position they are now in. Billions just got taken off the ledger, in addition to other billions that they pulled back from USAID. Billions, probably hundreds of billions at this point, that they can no longer use to poison the world. College campuses, all kinds of stuff. So if they can't keep the flow going, and now all of a sudden they're going to look at Soros, now the other people like Reid Hoffman, whose name he mentioned in the White House, in the Oval Office, yeah, I think we got to take a look at Reid Hoffman. But sphincter tightening. Because nobody dared say that. Nobody dared say we're going to take a look at Soros. Nobody said we're going to take a look at Reid Hoffman. See, what they really need to worry about are the people they're not telling you about. Because there's probably some big, giant people who live in other countries who've been part of this pilfering and this round robin of money who got to be terrified.
RICO. This is 2010, 15 years ago. I was saying George Soros should be grabbed by the RICO Act. Donald Trump looks like he's now willing to go there. And again, we're talking to Ryan Morrow, who says he has the goods on this. How long have you been working on this, Ryan?
Probably about a year.
And what got you started on this?
Well, I think it started when I released a report breaking down the anti-Israel protests that were going on. I saw that was like manufactured. It was like pushing a button. And we identified over 150 pro-terrorism groups organizing those protests. There weren't peaceful groups behind it. And so when that report came out, which is very similar to this one, this is almost somewhat of a sequel, one of the radical entities that's Hamas friendly had this to say about the research that we released. So the same would be true of the source report that we're about to release at 1 o'clock. It said that these reports we're doing pose an existential threat that could easily mean a quick death for most of the groups by getting their tax-exempt statuses ripped away from them. And so,
okay, hold up, pump the brakes there. They realize at this point it's an existential threat, meaning our lives are about to get stomped out, meaning their company's lives, organization. If they're starting to look at the money flow, we got big effing problems. We can't do anything without this money. And the problem that Americans have had is that they're so pacifist, so much of sheep, that they don't realize this isn't a crime against America, it's a crime against you, it's your money. You're out there on the treadmill trying to make money every single week, do what you can, working your ass off, and they're shipping it to all these different NGOs to destroy you. So as you're listening to this and understanding, you should be defining your role. What are you going to do? How are you going to do it? Who you're going to align with? Because you should be pissed off. And that the amount of pissed offedness that you have needs to be funneled at doing something, not just being mad. Came out yesterday, they arrested some guy who is the superintendent of schools for Illinois, and he's a newcomer, and he was getting paid $300,000 a year with no experience. And now today they find out the person who hired him was Michelle Obama's former chief of staff. They're laughing at us. They've been stealing for so long, it's become so commonplace, and they never thought anybody would pull back the onion layer on this one or that one. Trump does need to serve another 2 terms because it's going to take 10 or 12 years just to put all these people in a box. It's been rampant. And it's also probably from a lot of people that you like and trust. You have to think at this point, all the way down to the local level, how many pastors have been getting greased? How many pastors not, yeah, okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah, dude, hey, how you doing, my congregation? Yeah, give me some more money. And so, yeah, we're going to make Trump the bad guy. Find yourself a good church. Find out where they're getting their funding. Find out how they're... This is a big-ass church. Where did $10 million come to build this thing? Find out. Ask the questions of everything. Something isn't right. And if you start using the smell test, you're going to start seeing a lot of people that you probably thought were on the up and up, they're pretty dirty.
Those that survive would suffer mass chaos. So they're saying that we have figured out how to beat them if we just get this into the right hands. And so at 1 o'clock, this is what we're dropping about George Soros as part of our investigation. And that's what I said on your show earlier. The counteroffensive begins today. It begins at 1 o'clock.
Wow. And obviously, Pam and everybody got a copy of that when he dropped it yesterday. And now we know that they're going to go after and begin investigating Soros and all the other people who've been playing this shell game of taking your money to fund their illicit activities. Some of them might be as simple as burning buildings, and other of them might be sex dungeons. These are sick people. Sick people. I mean, you know the Stanley Kubrick film Eyes Wide Shut, and then he died after that film came out, and more people are like, that's some Hotel California stuff right there, isn't it? Yeah. You guys see that movie, Eyes Wide Shut? Take a look at it. Pray beforehand, but crazy. And it's crazy to the point where when you're looking at this stuff, and you're like, is it really that crazy? Is it really all that crazy when you see this guy get busted, oh, smiley face guy, and he had dungeons and was being paid millions? Who pays these people to hold dungeons with chained people and doing electroshock and getting off on that kind of stuff? Sick people. I remember when I watched that movie Eyes Wide Shut, I'm like, this is kind of some weird stuff here. And I remember that most stuff in Hollywood doesn't just get thought up. It's someone who had an idea. And how would you have an idea that this stuff is happening? Somebody had to tell you about it. You had to write a song about Hotel California. Craziness that the average person looks at and goes, this can't, this has got to be fiction. Really? Bet you thought that about UFOs too, huh?
You know, it was probably 2010 that George Soros's number 2 guy met with my number 2 guy. And they had lunch in a public place because that's what we requested when they said we want to have lunch. And I was not part of it, but it was just the second in command, if you will, meeting with each other and sending messages. And this lunch started with, you need to tell your boss, me, is hurting my boss, Soros, and it's going to stop. And my guy said, "No, I don't think it is. I mean, if he's getting something wrong, he'd be more than happy to correct it." And he said at the time, your boss needs to understand, the ship has already sailed. It's just pulling out of port right now. And you're either on that ship or you're not. And you want to be on that ship. And he said, my boss is going to say he doesn't want to be on that ship. And at the very end of the conversation, he said, I want you to hear me clearly. This is going to stop. We took that as a very large threat, and that is one of the reasons why I did the Puppet Master show on Fox. I did a 3-day special showing everything about George Soros that we could find at the time. You realize who you're getting into war with, don't you?
I do, and I don't care.
That's where you are. That's where I am. At this point, this country is worth too much to save. You understand? I understand. Every time I turn on this camera, Robin asks me, are you concerned? And I'm like, no, they're still going after some really big fish, and they're threatening those people like that and stuff. They haven't filtered down to berrydom. Berrydom isn't a big thing to them. Plus, we live in South Florida, and it'd be kind of risky. Plus, I'm a big guy, all those kind of things. But I also know by talking right now and saying some of the things and showing you some of these things, yes, it could be dangerous. But I know I've got grandkids, I got a daughter, I got a wife that I got to make sure that this country is still here for. And knowing that, my cross to bear is to say we've got to get the word out to people. In my little corner of the world here, whatever I can help, grow and get people to understand and read and put these dots together, that's what I feel I have to do. Anybody can take clips and, hey, take a look at this. Anybody can just tell you the news. I'm trying to show you how you can put this stuff together yourself and begin doing your own due diligence. Start digging. Hey, I heard today that on Barry's show that Soros might get investigated for a RICO charge. Let me go find out what a RICO charge is. Maybe that's the first thing you do. Hey, on Barry's show today, I found out some guy up in Connecticut who used to work with Soros got busted because he had dungeons and other stuff. Did you know about that? No, I didn't know about it. Let me go look into who this guy is. What's his history? Oh my goodness, it's kind of dark. Let me go watch the movie Eyes Wide Shut. That's some crazy stuff. Let me listen to the song Hotel California. I haven't heard it in a while, and I never really paid attention to all the lyrics. It's got some great guitar playing. Glenn Felder and Joe Walsh are shredding, but I never sat and actually listened to the lyrics. And so when you start opening your eyes and start grasping all this information and doing more with your fingers than, just talking about puppies, that's what I'm here for. I'm like, you guys got to see this stuff. You got to begin looking. And then you can tell other people. So it doesn't cost you anything. You don't have to buy the X Pro from X. You can just start looking on your own. I had no idea who this guy Howard Rubin was. And it made news yesterday. I'm like, let me start digging. Oh, somehow he's tied into Soros. And it was so eerie because when you read that article and you start digging, you're going to find out what I pretty much looked at and went, oh, he was just Epstein's replacement. Same setup. I mean, exactly same. Here's a rich guy who knows how he got rich, and he's got some female lieutenant, and they were doing the exact same thing. So whoever was in charge and was pulling the strings in Epstein, they didn't stop. They just said, we need somebody else. Who are we going to go to? Plan B. Let's get Ruby out here. Rubin, what do you got? Well, I got this great little dungeon thingy with electronic. Oh, yeah, that sounds good. And they funneled millions into him. They're not stopping, and neither should you.
I know I'm supposed to do this. And so that ship that he was talking about, we're going to sink it. And all the other big billionaire-funded organizations are out there that are funding this type of filth, that are poisoning American civil society and spreading this type of hate that resulted in what happened a week ago. You're on notice. If you're doing this by mistake, I will volunteer my time to help you vet the organizations that you finance so you don't fund terrorism and hate, if you're genuine.
Well,
if you're not genuine and you continue doing it, you're next.
Looking at your research, there's a handful of grants that are nuts for things like children that include ideas of hierarchy, supremacy, colonialism, and to the Alinsky Institute in France, which is in honor of Saul Alinsky, if I'm not mistaken, right?
That's exactly right. When you go through the report, you'll see that the organizations that they're funding are so blatantly connected to foreign terrorist organizations, so blatantly extremist. This goes on year after year. So before, when there would be reports about this,
let me stop there for a second. He mentioned something in a sentence and it just kind of flew by that many people may not have dug into that. If you don't know who Saul Alinsky is, be my guest and go Google Saul Alinsky Rules for Radicals. Maybe one day I'll do a show after I do a Rumble jump over and we'll just cover Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals. See, this stuff isn't happening just because Trump is here. Trump's exposing it in a deep way that most people haven't done it. It's not like they've hid it. It's out there. You can. Oh, what the hell did Barry just say? Saul Alinsky Rules for Radicals. And as you're looking at the rules for radicals, you will see number 4. I recognize that one a lot. Oh, I see number 7. Yeah. And then think to yourself as you're reading the rules for radicals, who's doing that? Oh, this one's by the media. Oh, this one's by the Democrats. But if you don't know what Saul Alinsky's rules for radicals even is, then you're watching someone who's having a conversation and you're just nodding, watching, and you don't stop. Oh, wait, hit the button, stop it. Wait, what in the hell is who is Saul Alinsky? See, if you're going to be in a fight, you better know who you're fighting against. When I played football, I wanted to watch film and I wanted to know how the guy tied the laces on his shoes and what brand of shoe he was wearing. Literally, I did. And so now you're hearing conversations and people are talking about Howard Rubin and they're talking about George Soros and Saul Alinsky. And you have to say to yourself, do I know who these people are? I don't know who Howard Rubin is. And I definitely don't know who Saul Alinsky is. That's what you need to be doing.
In drabs, I could kind of understand some people saying, well, out of thousands of grants, maybe some mistakes are made. This is no mistake. We have disproven this. And I keep thinking about how when the Iranian regime allows pro-terrorism entities to fundraise on Iranian soil, what do we call that? We call that state sponsorship of terrorism. In the United States, when American nonprofits in the nonprofit sector allow pro-terror entities to fundraise on American soil, what do we call it? We call it charity. And so...
See, most of us think of charity as what you do if the Girl Scouts need to sell some cookies. Oh, they need some cookies? Yeah. Where's the money going? So innocent. I remember growing up in Catholic school as I was going to say small kid. I was never a small kid, but as a young kid. And every year they would tell us, you got to go trick or treat for UNICEF. Didn't even think about it. Mom, I got to go trick or treat for UNICEF. Can you give us some money? And nobody ever said, what in the hell is UNICEF? We'd always see like the little fat African kid who needs some food or something, but we had no idea where the money for UNICEF was going. And that was back in the 60s. Trick or treat for UNICEF. It was in my head. It was done in schools across the country. Trick or treat for UNICEF. To this day, I don't know what the hell UNICEF is. I don't even want to know now. It's probably some other program that they stole money from. Absolutely got to do your homework.
That has to come to an end. The IRS code, as we talk about in the report, is being violated. You're not allowed to engage in crime. You're not even allowed to encourage crime. That can't be part of your nonprofit mission. And so these statuses need to be revoked. And just like that one extremist group said, if we go down that path, we don't even have to get into the hate speech argument.
Yeah.
We can beat them. We can beat them rapidly.
Yes, we can beat them. But in order to beat them, we all have to get on board. We all have to realize, number one, that we're in a fight. Number two, the gravity of the fight. And number three, what's at stake if we lose this fight. I don't want you to be on the other side of this fight and living in a pod, owning nothing and trying to fake like you're happy. I don't want you eating the bugs. If you want a big-ass steak, grill it up. I want you to be able to chase whatever dream you want to chase. I don't want anyone ever to tell you in 2028 or 29, you can't do this anymore because they need your money. So I think it's imperative that we all come together and realize we're fighting an adversary that wants to eliminate us. Not just pacify us. They don't want us breathing their air. I'm going to take some comments in a second, but before I do that, let me stop here and tell you guys about the Red Watch. What did Rush used to call these? He used to call them a profit pause, a pause for profit. Well, we're going to pause for some profit here because I got to tell you about the Red MAGA Watch. Let me bring that up here. It's on this screen here. All right, so you know sometimes you buy a watch just to tell time, but this one is a little bit different. This one tells a story that this Trump wristwatch, a black steel band, bold, solid red face, it's sharp, it's strong, and it stands out. But more than that, every time you check the time, it's a little reminder that truth still matters. Yeah, it does. In a world where everyone's trying to spin you, this watch is like carrying a moral compass that points you back to what's real. And let's be honest, it looks good. Look at that red and silver and black. It looks pretty cool. It honestly goes with everything. Dress it up, keep it casual for some time. You can also use it for a daily piece you'll wear proudly. For others, perhaps it's something you'll hold on to as a collector's item, a reminder of this moment in time and what a time it is to be alive. Either way, it's not just a watch, it's a statement of what you believe in. It's the kind of thing you'll be glad you've got when someone asks, where were you when all this was happening? You can just point to your wrist and say, right here, keeping track. So yeah, it tells the time, but it also tells a story, one that represents the truth. And these days, that feels even more valuable. So get yours today at themagaoffers.com/berrywatch. And you can see it right there on the screen, or you can click the link in the description below this video and you'll get a nice discount just for being a loyal listener and watcher of the show. Now I understand, and I want to see people complaining and saying it's so expensive, I could never afford that, and all the things that like people say sometimes. If it's not for you, that's fine. If you can't afford it, if it's not something you're interested in, that's okay. But let's not take the joy away from other people. All right, let's take some comments and talk about what you guys are saying. UNICEF, very great. United Nations, I can stop right there. You explain to me where that money went, right there. United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund, i.e. the United Nations. Wow. Too many commies in our country. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Barry, you must continue in prayer. Yep, and then Monday morning, we have a prayer meeting, by the way. That's going to be Monday morning. I believe it's Monday morning. Let me just double check while we're in the comment time here. Don't want to say it if it's not true, but I'm pretty sure it is Monday. Ashley has it set up with JJ. Let me see here. 29th. Yes, we have a prayer meeting at 10 o'clock on Monday morning. Barry is absolutely right. It's up to every American to dig for the truth and see what's really been hidden for years. We just can't take the media or politicians. No, you gotta, the only way you're gonna learn. It. Barry, to this day, I'm very leery about giving money to charities, and that is a sad thing. Nope, it's not. I feel exactly like you do. And instead, I really feel strongly about Samaritan's Purse, so I help them as often as I can. And then the rest of the time, I just give it to people who need stuff. And so whether it be relatives, whether it be friends, whether it be friends of friends, that kind of thing, bless them that way. You could be your own charity. You don't need someone else to dole out your money. That's how I feel anyway. Let's see here. Soros is like a cancer. Trump is a treatment. Exactly. Oh, by the way, let me just tell you guys something. I literally went to the post office drop this morning and picked up a whole case of these hats. So starting Monday or Tuesday, once I get the page done, we're going to start giveaway hats. And then right after that, we're going to start giving away the hoodies again. If you guys don't remember what the hoodies, I was going to do t-shirts, but I'm like, I don't want to get into it. Don't sign up right now. Don't go. I just want to show you what they look like. That's what they look like. And so probably next week, Ashley will put in an order and we'll go ahead and start giving away hoodies. But don't go enter now. We haven't started, but those hoodies, people have gotten hoodies. We gave out like 1,000 of those hoodies. People loved them. So the hats are gonna be going out. Of course, the Bibles. Oh, let me put up Bible. Where's that? Should be still working. If you'd like to request a free Bible, go to fanfareshop.org/Bible and you can request a free Bible. And what's the other thing I want to let you guys know? This is free stuff. Free. You don't have to buy anything. And if you'd like to, tomorrow I'm going to put up some of the videos that have been submitted. So if you want to go to fanfareshop.org/submit video, you will be able to submit a video which will be included in tomorrow's show. So that's just a little housekeeping. Oh, and the last bit of housekeeping. Wait a minute before SV yells at me. Where is it? Here. If you'd like to join a private group on X, you don't have to try and hunt for it. Just go to fanfareshop.org/group. And if you go in there, you can go ahead and join our private group. And somebody just said, if I've signed up before, do I have to sign up again? Nope. If you're in that database, it's just going to pick up and do the randomizer and it'll pick the names. And we were doing, I think, anywhere between 2 and 4 hoodie giveaways per show. So we were very prolific with it, and we're getting those out. So we're going to be doing that again starting next week. So we got the hats going out, and we'll have the hoodies going out. And it's just not a sponsorship, just our gift back to our fanfare community. Just that's it. Now, somebody like, are you really just going to give them away? I got a letter. Where is it? Right here. Robin sent it to me. I mean, she didn't send it to me, but she gave it to me. I got a letter. Let me hide the woman's address. Here's a letter. It got sent to me. And it was very interesting in the card. Beautiful card, too. Very beautiful card that she sent me. It says, taste and see that the Lord is good. And I won't say, I can say her first name, but that's about all I'll say. I want to share this with you. And it says, Dear Barry, thank you for the Bible. I don't even remember asking for it. It was probably to, quote, see if it worked. You see, I'm kind of a skeptic. I believe the Lord wanted me to have it to pass on to someone who needs it. I will do that. Love your show. And I watch it. Hubby and I watch daily. And I won't say, well, I can say her first name, Leanna? Yeah, Leanna. But she's like, I just entered to see if it was for real. Lee's her name. And I kept that because, yeah, it's for real. It might take you a while. I mean, they're free. The hats are going to be free. The hoodies are free. The Bibles are free. Might take you a little while to get to them because we don't have like a shipping department. It's Robin. But depending how things go, we may build that out as well. Stay tuned for details on that. But yes, it's real. We actually ship this stuff out, no cost. You don't have to pay shipping, nothing. Just sign up, and if you win the hat or you win the hoodies, you get it. It's that easy. Oh, that's gorgeous, Barry. God is in control. God bless you. I didn't even think of it as a ministry. I just think of it as, it's just something that I felt compelled to give back. That's why the lady or man who said something about charities, I'm like, you don't have to give to UNICEF or something. Just do it yourself. Buy somebody dinner. That's being charitable. Have somebody take my seat tonight for Downton Abbey so I don't have to sit there for 2 hours watching Downton Abbey. Oh, the trials and tribulations of being a husband. Downton Abbey. Well, then again, she is going Monday to the football game, so it all pays out together. All right, all the housekeeping done. Let's get back into the show.
Director Brennan, your thoughts about Tulsi Gabbard?
Well, Nicole, I think you and Tom Nichols have done a great job just underscoring all the concerns that people have about this appointment. Clearly, Tulsi Gabbard has taken actions and made statements over the past several years that really raise serious questions about her common sense, her judgment, as well as her political sympathies. Cozying up to Putin as well as to meeting with Bashar Assad, I think really does show that she doesn't have the type of perspective that is needed for somebody who's going to head up these 18 intelligence agencies. And as Tom Nichols said, she doesn't have any qualifications. The Director of National Intelligence, that's a really serious position and a very complex and complicated one that requires somebody who actually has an understanding of the intelligence community. It's like an orchestra conductor of all the different agencies and departments that are involved in the intelligence process. And I don't think she understands even the instruments that are involved in this orchestra, nor has she had any experience at the strategic level of running and leading a large, complex organization. And the Director of National Intelligence is, according to legislation, the President's principal intelligence advisor, the person who is responsible for making sure that the President's daily brief is put together in a very sound and forthright manner, the person who puts together the budget and the priorities of the intelligence community. So I know that this appointment is sending shockwaves here in the United States, but also around the globe in terms of, is this really somebody who Donald Trump is going to entrust with the care and the leadership of the intelligence community? An unserious pick for a serious position.
See, he hit on the actual word. It took him, I don't know, what's that, two minutes or so with all his BS, blah, 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 not qualified. She doesn't know what she's doing. She's stupid, just a chick, blah, blah, blah. And then he got to the word that actually mattered. Is this the person that Donald Trump is going to entrust? And he could have just said that and explained his entire diatribe. This is somebody he trusts. I can do a lot of work with people if I trust them. If I trust them, I can show them some of the things I want them to do. I can help them bring in the best people to surround them with. Any CEO will tell you, if I can find a right person, that's probably going to be more important than the experience. We want them to have some experience, but at the same token, if I trust them, that means so much more. And Brennan, he hit on it. He just didn't realize that that's exactly what's going on. And so Brennan, I think he's up next, either he or Clapper or Christopher Wray. Clapper, Wray, or Brennan. They're next. One of those three, or maybe all of them, might be next. And I think he's realizing that.
Well, I think he has made it a crusade of his. And once he makes something a crusade and he starts to label individuals as his adversaries and enemies, he will go to great lengths to try to ruin them, whether it be reputationally, financially, professionally, whatever. And I do think that this is something that he cannot get over. He cannot move forward. Again, he is, for somebody who has been able to amass, such a tremendous following in the United States, and with his base of support that continues to be relatively strong, you would think he would not be as sensitive to any types of criticisms, but he is.
You shot him. You kicked in the door of his house. You went through his wife's underwear drawer, and you're saying he's sensitive. You dragged him through trial after trial after trial. You tried to steal his house. You tried to say he didn't know what he was doing. You tried to say... Sensitive? Dude, you're lucky you went... Oh. he ain't sensitive enough, because if it was me, you wouldn't be on MSNBC. Now you're going to start seeing what he's really made of. You would think he'd be a little less sensitive. Oh my God, put yourself in that position. All the stuff I just said, in addition to everything else. Who knows how he gets to eat dinner? Hey, taste this real quick. Sensitive? Nobody cares what John Brennan thinks. Only John Brennan cares what John Brennan thinks. He doesn't make any sense. Because if you don't know Donald Trump, how in the hell are you passing judgment against him? Again, this is just, like he said, an orchestration. This is for MSNBC's idiot viewers who think that this guy knows what's going on. Yet he's not telling you what he did, what Obama did, what Biden did. Just that Trump might be coming back for vengeance. Or Tulsi Gabbard might be coming back for retribution. If you know that, then why are you still blabbing your mouth?
It's just so sensitive and will react and tries to lash back, as he said very publicly, that he does not forgive his opponents. And he's not going to change. Again, I'm just hoping that there are some people around him that are looking at this and saying, boy, this really is consistent with all of...
You listening there? It's the same thing from the president of Colombia. The president of Colombia decides he wants to get up on a podium and tell our military to go against President Trump. What Brennan just did is, again, these communications that are going out. He's not talking to the MSNBC audience. He's talking about some people rise up against him. Listen to that again in case you didn't hear what he just said. Because, these people... Here we go.
Support that continues to be relatively strong. You would think he would not be as sensitive to any types of criticisms, but he is. He is just so sensitive and will react and tries to lash back, as he said very publicly, that he does not forgive his opponents. And he's not going to change. Again, I'm just hoping that there are some people around him that are looking at this and saying, boy, this really is consistent with all of the stereotypical sort of actions of a despot, of a tyrant.
I'm hoping one of you guys realizes. Why in the hell would you say that? Why would you say, I hope there's somebody in his inner circle who rises up? I'll tell you why he said it. He was sending a message to somebody. Maybe somebody's embedded. Do something. Now is the time. I'm just hoping. Well, wait a second. So what you just told your audience, or MSNBC, is that there's nothing you can do. Now I've got to activate somebody else because we're done. We got nothing. I'm hoping. Seriously, what are you hoping for? You're hoping that somebody on the inside does something, huh? That's what he just said.
And they shouldn't be taking a knee to him. They need to be able to stand up. I'm old enough to remember Watergate. I don't see any case against me. I have looked back on all of my actions and decisions, and with John Durham, the special counsel...
Wait a second. This was yesterday. Did MSNBC really bring this guy on to tell people I didn't do nothing wrong? Oh, God. I didn't do nothing. I really looked. And I can't see that I've done anything wrong, says the guy who's done everything wrong. My goodness, these people think you're stupid. I just think back to my mom yelling at me. I didn't do anything wrong. Or the prisoner, I didn't do anything wrong. This guy just came on television. I've looked at everything I've done. I got to tell you, I'm as good as it gets. Let's listen to that again.
I have looked back on all of my actions and decisions, and with John Durham, the special counsel, and others that have looked at what we did, it was certainly consistent with our legal authorities and with the law. So I don't know what they're referring to there. Individuals who used to work in the government, even if their security clearance clearances were revoked, they could be subpoenaed. They could be, called to provide testimony in support of whatever allegations they have. I don't see a case there.
He should have been.
Okay. Hey, Pam, Cash, he just told you, don't worry about it. I got this. All right. I didn't do nothing wrong. I didn't do nothing. That was probably the most idiotic segment I've seen on their network, and I've seen a lot of stupid segments on MSNBC, but bringing out somebody who's about to be indicted and him telling you, I didn't do nothing. Seriously. I just can't see how they could charge me. He brought them. I bet you if you asked Dahmer if he was still alive or so, hey, I didn't do nothing. Yeah, it tastes good, but I didn't do nothing. I'm hard pressed. Oh God. That's when you know they're in trouble. When you bring somebody out and have them basically try to tell everybody, I'm innocent, but you haven't even been charged yet. But I've looked at everything. Why would you be looking at things that could potentially get you in trouble if you didn't do nothing wrong? That's sort of like cleaning up the house before your wife gets home and she finds out it looked like a pigsty and I forget to do a couple of dishes. What's this crust? Oh, got me. You guys know, if your wife goes on vacation, you come back, you want to make sure that she doesn't know what the last 5 or 6 days look like in the house. But I didn't do nothing. You're going to love this guy.
Indicted 4 or 5 years ago based on his lying in the Pfizer application and hiding the criminality and the lack of verification of the main document that was used in it, which all the liars, and they're all going to go to jail for it, said wasn't the main document. Except if you read the affidavit, it's the main document. I mean, what are they going to do? Rewrite the if they could, they rewrite the affidavit. But that'll probably bring him, Brennan, and a whole bunch of others down. When they get around to taking that little 2-page indictment and make it into the big RICO indictment that it can become and encompass the various episodes of the crime they were committing. This crime was episodic. It was not singular. Crime begins maybe earlier, but certainly with the scheme by Hillary Clinton to pay money for the Steele affidavit, and at least $1.1 million laundered through the law firm Perkins Coie, described falsely as a legal fee, when in fact it was a fee for counter research, for false research. The research purported to be developed in Russia. Steele never went to Russia, hadn't been to Russia for 17 years. He produced it in Ukraine. The charge of Russian collusion was completely untrue. The charge of Ukrainian collusion in the Hillary Clinton Democratic Party campaign was 100% true. They all knew it, including right up to the President of the United States of America. Comey knew it. Brennan knew it and assisted in it, particularly the CIA-type plots with Papadopoulos, came out of the CIA. It was an all-hands operation to try to destroy Donald Trump.
An all-hands operation to destroy one man. And so you have to sit back and think, why did they come up with this grandiose scheme of epic proportions to take down one man? We're going to go to FISA courts. We're going to say this. We're going to do that. We're going to launch this thing from China. We're going to do all of this because we have to stop this one man. What are you afraid of? Because he's going, back then he wanted to obliterate the deep state. He just didn't have the people around him to do it, and they knew it. Remember Comey? I just figured we walk in, we took a shot. We took a chance that we could catch Michael Flynn and some other people. And we were going to arrest Roger Stone and Steve Bannon and Paul Manafort and on and on and on. We're going to make everybody's life miserable. We're going to even come up with 2 different impeachments over nothing. just because we have to shut him up. And then, when none of that worked, they did an election. And they thought at that point he would just go away. That would be it. And then lo and behold, he decides to run for re-election. And they're like, he didn't get enough the first time? Oh, we got to give him more. So we're going to charge him with all these crazy charges, and we're going to try and ruin his life, his family's life, his friends' life, his businesses. We're going to make him spend millions of dollars. We're going to get him indicted, and we're going to get him convicted, and nobody will want to vote for this guy. What do you mean he's still leading? No, he's still leading. You're telling me after 2 impeachments, a pandemic, lawsuits, felony convictions, all of this, and they still want him? Yeah, they're still voting for him. How you think it's going to be close? No, he's kicking our ass. All right, then what we have to do is get rid of him. And by the grace of God, this man survives, and he has literally had the entire kitchen sink thrown at him. And he just kept going and kept going and kept going. And they're like, okay, so we're going to hide that this guy is a blithering, drooling husk of a man as president who doesn't know what the hell he's saying. We're going to put in some babbling fool as a possible contestant, but then that didn't work. Nothing worked. And so now, when you summarize it, and you're hearing Rudy summarize it, and you're thinking to yourself, this has been an ongoing campaign to get this guy, this one guy, for quite some time. Basically since he came down the escalator. And nothing has worked. They've had some speed bumps. They stopped him from getting in the office, but now he's back in there, and he's killing it. And they have nothing left to do, and now he's coming after them. That's why they're desperate.
When it failed to destroy Donald Trump, which they thought it would, probably the moment at which we know they failed is when Peter Strzok, who was their operative, said to his girlfriend, "There's no there." She was very concerned, and he said the magic words that now go into episode 2 of the long-term conspiracy. That really is going to be the culmination of this case. He said, we have an insurance policy. Well, the insurance policy is not another case. The insurance policy is to take the case they actually disproved. The case that they now know is completely phony and paid for. And just try to revive it and use it for the basis of an impeachment and taking known false testimony. Not false testimony, an entire false plot that they had paid for, and they knew they had paid for it, and use it to remove a lawfully elected president, supported by lies from all over, including from the Prince of Obama and from Shifty Schiff. By the way, somebody on one of the stations, it probably was Newsmax, because I don't listen to Fox much anymore, and I love Newsmax, but I will ask you to please check with me when you start saying legal things. One of the things that was just assumed with one of your legal experts was you can't prosecute Shifty Schiff because of the speech and debate clause in the United States Constitution. I've been dying to prosecute Shifty Schiff for a long time. You'll even see it in my book. I was all ready to put him in my RICO case. Shifty Schiff made a very big mistake. Everything he said and more in Congress, he said on television. What you say on television, what you say in public is not covered by the speech and debate clause.
Boom, boom, boom. Now I wanted to point something out because you probably don't see it, or maybe you're wondering, that's not a vest he's wearing. Remember, he got in a horrific accident less than a month ago. Some people thought he might not have made it. And this soldier is right back at it. He can feel it. He can taste it. These people who were wronged so much, No, I can't sit on the sidelines. I have to. Here, let me let him play again.
So if you are saying things.
Okay, so you can see he's got some sort of chest brace underneath his coat. That's a brace because of the accident that he was in. And he's still out here fighting. So if he's out here fighting, this older gentleman who just got in a horrific car accident, and now he's ready to go into this fight. Remember, and if some of you are too young or don't know, you're thinking, well, why didn't they do this before? It's because they couldn't prosecute. We couldn't even talk about it. I don't know where you were in the last couple of years, but you think it's bad now without having to say certain words? You saw what happened to Alex Jones. You saw what happened to a whole bunch of people. You can't even discuss what happened over the last couple of years. And to a certain extent, you still can't. We never thought we'd get to a point where you did all this stuff to Trump, and then on top of everything else, let's boot all the Trump supporters off of social media, and then on top of that, tell them they can't say certain things. And finally, now in September of 25, we're just now, able to even speak of the atrocities that these people did. They had made it embolden themselves to just delete anybody who challenged the election, delete anybody who had the gall to challenge Fauci, any of that stuff. You weren't even allowed to discuss it. So if somebody in your chat is thinking, well, why didn't they do this before? You couldn't. And if they had won, you never would have been able to bring it up.
And doing things that are furthering the conspiracy of removing a lawfully elected president, the conspiracy to defraud, the conspiracy maybe to commit espionage. And you're not doing it just on the floor of the House or Senate. You're perfectly as prosecutable as me. If you're holding up a list and you say, I have witnesses here, right? I have witnesses here that can prove and have direct evidence of Trump's being involved in Russian collusion. And to this day, you haven't produced any of them. I think there's a fair conclusion that you were furthering the conspiracy to remove a lawfully elected president. Do you know he did that on television? He did not do that. I have the tape. I have the video. We were ready for an impeachment on that, and we would have knocked the shit out of them, and maybe got him put in jail. Well, that can still be done as part of a RICO case, as long as the RICO case comes into the statute of limitations. All the prior RICO activity comes in.
That's very important. Listening to a former attorney general, if you did it within the statutes of limitation, then all the shit you did before can be brought in as well. That's why don't listen to what the MSNBCs of the world are telling you, that Comey's indictment is going to be very tough to do. Comey's indictment was the lettuce. All it was to get it in before the statute of limitations expired. That's what he just said. Now that you filed it now and got in, and you used whatever case you could to get an indictment, now the good stuff comes. Now you get to have the steak. That was just the lettuce. So people on television right now are making themselves look like idiots. I'm like, oh my God, you have to know better. Anybody with a law degree who's talking on television has to know better. This is just the door opener. And he just explained to you the process. Get it in before the statute of limitations, and then bring all the other stuff in as well. Listen to that again, so in case you didn't listen here. All right, I want you to hear this.
We got him put in jail. Well, that can still be done as part of a RICO case, as long as the RICO case comes into the statute of limitations. All the prior RICO activity comes in.
Why are they not talking about that on CNN or MSNBC? Why are they just focused on this one narrow indictment? Yeah, he lied to Congress. That ain't nothing. That'll just, even if he got found guilty, he's going to get a couple months. Smart people have to realize that ain't it, is it? Nope, nah, there's more coming. Start looking into the term superseding indictments. Once you start understanding what a superseding indictment is, then you'll understand the possibility for more stuff to get piled on. And basically, Rudy just explained it.
They say the case is barred by the statute of limitations. Please, I'm the expert on RICO, not them. Come to me, okay? I get so frustrated. Lucky I don't have a tendency to get an ulcer. I mean, with a broken back and an ulcer, it would be really tough. No, it wouldn't. These guys motivate me. They get me better.
I gotta get rid. That's a fighter. You ain't stopping me. I'm just getting going here. I'm just getting a lather. I'm just starting to get a good sweat on. Yeah, I got a broken back. That's all right. We're good. I was made for this. If you don't know Rudy's history, you'll realize what he just said. I know everything about RICOs. Why does he know everything about RICOs? Because he did it in New York to clean up the mob. And he had some guys that wanted to take his head off back in the day, and he got rid of and basically diminished the mob. And so he does know everything about RICO. These idiots on CNN don't.
For my country.
So is this? So this is just the beginning. Do we expect to see more? First,
expect the moon, my friend.
I love the way I expect the moon. This is just the appetizer. This is why they're freaking out. If nobody has encapsulated this and tried to show you exactly what's going on, just wait. Don't get discouraged. Stop the idiocy about Pam Bondi not doing anything. Stop all the craziness about Lindsay Halligan being new and just some pretty face. Just wait. This was just the start.
I expect the moon. I remember, I have in my mind the cases that I started with a one-count indictment against a single person, and then I flipped 10 people, and I had a 70-person indictment. I remember those days.
Comey, Clapper, Brennan, Obama, Monaco, all conspired together, all worked together.
I'm going to stop him right there because there's some more homework for you. If you don't know who Lisa Monaco is, see how he just threw those names together. Chloe, Brennan, Monaco, and then it just kept going. Like, wait, pump the brakes, Stephen. Everybody doesn't know who Lisa Monaco is. Now you got some more homework. Go look up who Lisa Monaco is.
Try to sabotage, undermine, unravel the democratic institutions and structures of this country. The Russiagate hoax, the Russiagate conspiracy, and all of the assaults against our liberties that went with it. The pre-dawn raids, the handcuffing of innocent Americans, the espionage against President Trump's campaign and staff, the removal of his national security advisor, one fake indictment, one fake charge after another, the special counsel, all of it was a unrelenting attempt to overthrow the government the American people voted for. I cannot find words harsh enough to condemn the conduct of these conspirators, these insurrectionists.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So I'm about to bring it home here because now it's starting to get real crazy. Now you've heard all this. Now let me show you what today is about. Today is about this. Stephen Miller, we are witnessing domestic terrorism, sedition against the federal government. The JTTF, I believe that's the Joint Terrorism Task Force, has been dispatched by the Attorney General pursuant to NSPM 7. All necessary resources will be utilized. This is Pam Bondi earlier today.
A new era of political violence. Assassins have tried to murder President Trump twice and tried to kill Supreme Court Justice Kavanaugh. In Minnesota, legislators and even children attending Mass were gunned down in cold blood in 2 separate incidents. And an assassin targeted and murdered our friend Charlie Kirk. A sniper shot 3 people at a Texas ICE facility, and now more than 200 violent rioters were at a Chicago ICE facility chanting, "Arrest ICE, shoot ICE." At least one had a gun. We've seen this before. We saw it in Portland and with the LA riots. These are not peaceful protests. These are coordinated attacks by radical extremists, and they end now. Anyone who threatens or assaults our federal officers will be arrested and charged federally, not in some liberal state court. Same goes for anyone who's funding and aiding these extremists. You will be dismantled brick by brick. We are taking our country back. Make America safe again.
All right, so what has transpired, in case you guys don't know, is there's some real stuff happening, real dangerous stuff about to go down. President Trump, at the request of Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem, I am directing Secretary of War Pete Hegseth to provide all necessary troops to protect war-ravaged Portland and any of our ICE facilities, that's really key, any of our ICE facilities, under siege from Antifa, the freshly endured terrorist organization, and other domestic terrorists. I am authorizing, quote, full force, if necessary. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Full force. Going after the money, going after the liars, and now we're going to go after their army. Today's show was to show you how all of this is working together to destroy the deep state, or rather, as he says, obliterate the deep state. If he's going to go after Comey and Wray and all the idiots from, in the FBI and what they did, and then he's going to go after the money, and he's going to try and tie a RICO case to all that money. And now, in addition to all that, now he's going after their foot soldiers. And as you might expect, the Democrats aren't happy about this at all. And it's, again, they're playing their cards so the American people can see this insanity. Saw this by Chuck Schumer. Now understand, you're in the middle of a government shutdown, and the Senate leader for the Democrats comes out and says he vows to fight President Trump's deployment of troops against Antifa. Trump is not a king. Democrats will fight in Congress to stop him. Chuck is way in over his head. Of course, the Democrats would side with insurrectionist rebels. So then you have to ask yourself, why in the hell would Chuck Schumer in New York be looking to stop President Trump from taking down Antifa? It's obvious. They have to have Antifa. Whoever controls Antifa has told Schumer, do something. And Schumer's like, I can't do anything. What do you want me to do? Well, get out there and pretend like you're going to do something. This is where it gets really dangerous. Maybe not in your corner of the world, but it has the chance to get there. So, I mean, that's some crazy stuff. And then recently, this was at about 3 o'clock, armored vehicles full of federal agents have arrived at the federal building in Portland as tensions with Antifa rise. Early this morning, President Trump ordered troops into Portland to protect ICE facilities. Antifa terrorists will not win. So let me just show you this. And it's only a few trucks thus far are moving in, but they are indeed moving in. That's Homeland Security vehicle right there. So let me ask you a question. How did they get in so fast? Well, obviously President Trump had a plan. This is the next stage of the plan. Unfortunately, for America, these people are not going to go quietly. These people are going to fight tooth and nail. So let me just go over some of the stuff that I have here to show you. It says, breaking, left-wing Antifa extremists are now calling for mobilization and insurrection after President Trump announced troops would be deploying to Portland and ICE facilities to fend off terrorists. They really want to go up against the military. We're going to see some crazy stuff over the next week or so. Andy says again, Antifa communists, socialists, and others on the radical left are discussing openly right now to prepare for an armed insurrection. And the Senate leader is encouraging it. FBI Portland says we stand with our partners to crush domestic terror threats at federal facilities. Our goal is to prevent and investigate the destruction of property and violence against federal officers while maintaining a safe place for peaceful protests. There is no such thing anymore on the Democrat side in regards to peaceful protests. I thought this myself. I listened to a lot of stuff the clandestine guy says, and I realized this guy's probably military. So I don't think people truly understand the magnitude of what just happened. POTUS is sending military troops to, quote, war-ravaged Portland, Antifa's main hub, to protect ICE facilities from endless attacks from Antifa. The U.S. military in U.S. cities is essentially the declaration of the Insurrection Act, which basically is Jacksonian stuff. So he just said he's sending not the National Guard. He said for Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, to get in there and take care of business. U.S. militaries in U.S. cities is essentially the Insurrection Act. As for whether or not that's the actual legal avenue Trump utilizes to get troops to Democrat-run cities like Portland, the end result is that of the Insurrection Act. Whether it's been invoked already, we don't know, or not. Antifa is a violent insurrection terrorist operation, which is, they already named a terrorist organization. Now, see, breadcrumbs. Things happening in order. He could have went into Portland last week. He could have went into Portland last month. Oh, let's declare these people a terrorist organization. Now, because they're terrorists, I can now do what I need to do. Again, the Democrats didn't see it coming. The Democrats had no idea that President Trump would actually declare Antifa a terrorist organization. And I'm sure what the lawsuit is going to say is there's no such thing as Antifa. You've heard some of that already. Oh, it doesn't even exist. Well, kind of hard to say it when they're walking around with flags. They actually have flags. So that's going to be a tough thing to get over. Antifa is a violent, and Trump is sending U.S. troops authorized with full force. Whew, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. Full force. What does that mean? I don't know. I've never been in the military, never been in law enforcement. Some of you guys can probably say, does full force mean what I think it means? Does full force actually mean what most of us are probably thinking, they gonna shoot him? This is the beginning of the dismantling of Antifa and the left-wing terrorist network nationwide. Trump is eliminating, quote, the deep state brown shirts. It's happening. The obliteration is happening. Chuck Schumer freaking out. Absolutely. Going to do everything we can. To do what? To stop you from stopping a terrorist organization? Understand, that's exactly what he said. We will fight in Congress to stop him. Why aren't you in Congress fighting to stop Antifa? What kind of person reads this stuff and goes to themselves, oh, that makes sense. We'll stop the guys trying to stop the terrorist organization. We're not going to stop the terrorist organization. We'll stop Trump. Normal people are looking at this going, what in the hell are you talking about, Chucky? They're burning stuff. They're doing stuff. We can see it. They beat somebody to death. What are you saying? We're going to stop Trump, but not the terrorist organization. You didn't think this one through, Chucky. Not at all. In addition to Chucky, now we got this one. Exclusive. I have obtained a copy of an internal draft letter from Portland Mayor Keith Wilson and surrounding area Democrat mayors denouncing any attempt to federally militarize the Portland metro area. Portland will be providing resources for legal support for the protesters, meaning the terrorists. and will deploy human rights observers to monitor, assess, and make determinations regarding the legality of the federal action in respect to the constitutional rights of assembly, protest, and free expression. Okay, in case you're not aware, let me be the first one to tell you. It's a terrorist organization. They don't get all that. You guys are playing yesterday's playbook. You're not playing today's playbook. It's not a constitutional right of assembly, protest, and free expression. It is stopping a terrorist organization. Did you not get the memo? So we will use all of our legal tools at our disposal to deny our jurisdiction's personnel, equipment, facilities, and resources from any participation or support of militarized federal actions that target the civil rights of a terrorist organization, including that of assembly, free speech, and protest, blah, 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 of a terrorist organization. Normies have to be sitting back and going, yeah, what is happening here? Why is an entire political party? Now it's not just newcomers. Oh, I feel sorry. He was a cook here. He's been a good cook for the last 5 years. And she's worked in the hotel changing sheets. Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. I can kind of see why you get upset about that. How in the hell are you getting upset about a terrorist organization? Do you not realize they've been declared a terrorist organization? And so now you're letting the world know we can't let our terrorist friends go away. Okay. Getting worse here. Andy says a violent Antifa member who has called for his comrades to assassinate him is now telling his comrades to stockpile weapons and to learn to, quote, kill following the executive order about dismantling Antifa domestic terrorism. Then Eats Master, tough guy, deleted his X account but is active on Blue Sky. Ooh, the government won't see Blue Sky, where Antifa plan their crimes. Brendan says, Portland Antifa is currently freaking the F out, frantically erasing all of their criminal trails off social media. Ooh, you're erasing stuff from social media that Elon Musk owns. Yeah. Oh, they're not the brightest terrorists, are they? Blue Sky Antifa has alerted their comrades to scrub any evidence from their past and to lawyer up. Oh, ringleader Alisa Azar just deleted her X account and her Instagram account. Oh, that'll do it. Nobody will ever be able to find out what you wrote. You understand, by the time Trump sent the troops into Portland, they've already downloaded all that stuff. They know where you are. They know where you live. They know what you had for breakfast. They know where you are. They've got your cell phone data. You're effed. You are so screwed. You still think you're playing last year's playbook. He brought the military in, not the Portland police, which means if he brought the military in, they've already had a satellite watching you idiots. And now, some of the brave ones, a direct action has been planned for September 28th, that'd be tomorrow, at the Portland ICE facility after Trump issued a statement that he plans to send troops in to protect the federal property. Antifa and communists have said they refuse to back down and plan to escalate their rioting. They have called for militant reinforcements in Seattle and Los Angeles. Let's get this right. You people in hockey helmets with umbrellas think you're going to take on the military. So you're telling the world you're pretty flippin' stupid. They're rolling in tanks and you're pulling out umbrellas. I don't want to see anybody get hurt. But if you F around, you're going to find out. And maybe this is what they wanted. Maybe they want their Kent State moment. Maybe they want to say the government opened fire on a bunch of, high school kids or college kids who were just out there protesting. God help us. If they're going to do this tomorrow, if they're going to have feds out of Portland at the ICE facility. They're going to meet tomorrow at 4 p.m. So it means about 1 o'clock tomorrow, we should see some fireworks. So prepare to turn on the TV and let's see. Maybe that's when I go live. We can all get some popcorn. We can all get some popcorn and sit back and watch the whatever's got to happen. Idiots. Unbelievable. Unbelievable that this would actually be happening. But they don't have any choice. They don't have any choice because as I started this 2 hours ago and I was telling you, there's nothing they can do. Nothing. And because of that, this is what we're getting. We're getting the danger part now because these people have nothing left to do. And it means also they have nothing to lose, which means they're extra dangerous. These are losers, complete losers, and they have nothing to lose. As if they have to blow stuff up or take people, they don't care. This is just the beginning. So when you saw the title of this video and I asked, are you ready? Now you need to really understand what ready actually means. I've shown you a whole bunch today. I've shown you the FBI stuff. I've shown you the money flow. Now you got to realize we're in it to win it, most of us. And if you got people who are not really sure, the obliteration campaign just began. And now it's going to get ugly.
All here, saying, see, we told you so. Trump understands it's existential. This is a still ongoing coup operation that's illegal and must be removed. You have all these Democrat senators, Blumenthal and Hakeem Jeffries in the House, threatening total tyranny. They get back in to try to bolster their people with confidence because like a house of cards, the whistleblowers are already flooding in, the auto pin, they have it all. What they don't have is enough prosecutors that have intestinal fortitude, because this is a war. So now we've reached the next level of victory. We're not on the beach now. We're getting deep in, but now the Battle of the Bulge is about to happen, okay? Or the Battle of Stalingrad is on in World War II terms. This is it, okay? This is like the X-Wings going to the Death Star. This is it, boys. You better have your head on a swivel. You better get ready. I'm getting chills right now. General Flynn, you said he'd be the first, measure the orange jumpsuit as you understand the strategy to take down the whole system. They know it now. We've reached maximum danger. General Flynn, you've got the floor. Go ahead.
Yeah, so thanks, Alex. I think it was the 9th or 10th of November this past year after Trump won this historic victory, where it's exactly what you just described. I put out on an X post, people can go look it up, essentially what you just said, which is, I don't want everybody to start giving high fives here. This is just our first, this was D-Day, right? We have attacked the beaches. We're being shot at. We're taking casualties. We're gonna, we need to climb the cliff still. We got to get to the hedgerows. We got to break out of the hedgerows. So this is one element of a breakout. This indictment of Comey, but that's all it is. We're still at the top of the cliffs now. We're still trying to break out of those hedgerows and move into victory over Europe. But we cannot declare victory over Europe just yet. So metaphorically speaking, that's kind of where we are. And I said that about a day, I think 24 hours after on X after the historic election by Donald Trump. So big picture, big picture. And we talked about, like you said, we talked prior about false flags. One of the interesting things, and I've been paying very close attention to what the Secret Service just discovered up in New York City, this discovery of this telecommunications equipment that they found. And it's clear to me the types of equipment that they found. This is not some, go down to Walmart and buy this stuff and a couple of smart technoids put it together. This is nation state stuff, because when you look at the capabilities of that particular activity, right? These are things that can shut down 911, or you can get inside and spoof 911. You can do things like take over rail systems. You can take over transit systems, so rail, bus, trucks, and make it look as though it's mobile and low. Like you kind of go, what's going on here? And it's very difficult to detect. It's not just shutting down one set of servers in a building, in a bank, in a financial institution. It's actually taking over an entire system. And that also includes systems inside of the Department of Defense, because, again, the capabilities that were discovered are very, very high end. serious technical capabilities, telecommunications systems. And my guess is that we probably have some of those sitting in other parts of the country right now, maybe in some of the other big cities where there are transit systems, metros and such, and certainly buses, taxis, the whole gamut. So I want people to understand that, yeah, there's a post right there about Comey, right? The first domino. And
all right, so reading this post, excuse me, General Flynn put up, it says, Comey is the first domino to fall. Others must fall faster now. And why are any of these people inside of the DOJ still in place? How many prosecutors and FBI agents that were part of the Mueller investigation are still working inside of the DOJ? How many prosecutors and FBI agents who worked on the Jack Smith case are still inside the DOJ? All of those are great questions. I'm sure Pam Bondi and Kash Patel also have been looking into that. This, as he said, and many other people, this is just the first salvo. This is the first thing that's going to happen. And then we got to get ready for what happens next.
Here's the thing about Comey, and I'll just touch on him briefly, because I think that there are other things that we need people to understand.
I want you to have the floor, but I think what you brought up first is the key. I said, during the break, I believe this is the false flag. You said, absolutely. This is a coup d'etat system, and we know the CIA would use a foreign government as a cutout, or some of those subgroups that are still loyal to the globalist deep state. And you were agreeing with me that this is what you'd see in place ahead of an attempted hot coup to take control and disrupt telecommunications. So let's finish up with that, because you're in.
All right, so before he goes into that, these are not far-fetched conspiracy theory stuff. Once you accept and realize they have nothing left, they can't sue their way back into power, their money system is being cut off, their terrorist organization is being surrounded, the newcomers are being deported, the media has been rendered feckless. Once you've taken away everything they've stood for, the only thing they have left is to strike out. And so I'm not trying to be conspiracy theorist type person or putting on a tinfoil hat. Ask yourself, okay, what is it they could do at this point? And when you say not, what's left? Violence, disruption, termination of services, all kinds of crazy stuff.
Expert on this, and then let's get into Comey and this big domino.
Yeah, so little things, we saw some of this stuff, right? The escalators that Trump was on at the UN, the shutting down of his teleprompter. I mean, there's small indicators of things that occur, and if you're really looking at the bigger, broader picture and the capabilities that do exist, you have to say, okay, what is happening? What are the things that are being tested? And it's not just to test, to see if they can do it. It's to see what is our response to it, right? It's what is our response to it. What's the response if they send another fishing vessel off the coast of Venezuela, with known drugs? I mean, there's bales and bales of drugs that they can send in.
These are probes ahead of a major attack.
Right. Whenever you do a reconnaissance, a very active reconnaissance on the battlefield, and it's happening strategically, you are probing to see what the response systems are. What is the decision-making structure to be able to make a decision at the highest levels of our government? In this case, the President of the United States, Secretary of Defense, the Director of National Intelligence, Secretary of State, the various entities within our national security structure. I mean, the President of the United States ought to be, he ought to have his national security team in right now and going through this. We call it wargaming in the military: action, reaction, counteraction. And when these things happen, so he ought to be looking at the options and the events that have occurred. And and when you talk about somebody like a Comey, he's dog whistling on his video, okay, on his video that he put out last night. I mean, the guy is beyond arrogant, but he's also
dog whistling equals comms. As you start watching these people talk right now, they understand that their communications, their phones are all being monitored. So what's the way you can get a message to somebody is, hey, get me on MSNBC and I'll give a coded message. I'll give them a comm so they know what we need to be doing. John Brennan, I'm hoping there's somebody in Trump's inner circle that'll do something. They know exactly what they're doing. They know what they're communicating. Whatever. I don't have any idea what this Amelia Earhart stuff was. I know there's a lot of people going, what in the hell was that all about? I don't know.
He's also messaging. The messaging within the deep state is very, very real. I mean, Comey knows. He knows not to. He's just been indicted, right? The likelihood of him being convicted is very high. But why would a guy like that, who's been at the top of the justice system, right, and served there, and been at the top of our government and served there, clearly. At the presidential level, I mean, why would a guy like that put out a message like he put out as though, like, I'm innocent? I mean, you just don't do that for no reason. There is a clear and unadulterated reason why he is whistling to the entities that exist inside the deep state. Maybe he's basically whistling that we're going to stand and fight. He's got a deep state lawyer and law firm. Comey will go into this waging of this battle for him. And it'll be waged by many others in the deep state with unlimited resources, more resources than most nation states have.
That I found completely compelling. So General Michael Flynn just said that Comey will have more resources than some countries. Where's that money coming from? Why is it so important to make sure that Comey doesn't go down? That's why I also feel that's why it's important to go after as many of them as possible. Go after them all. Make them spread the money around. Do as much damage to the deep state to obliterate them as you possibly can. Now, I played this next piece yesterday, and I just wanted, in case you guys weren't here for the whole 4-hour broadcast, I wanted you to hear this. And this was, again, from yesterday. This is Michael Cohen, the guy who tried to go after Trump, and I think he's giving a communication. I think he's trying to tell people, I can't help you. You're in trouble.
Here's the crazy thing. He's going to succeed. And everybody's turning and saying, oh, he can't do that. There's statute of limitations issues on this. This person has prosecutorial immunity. This one has this. Let me be very clear. They're talking about a playbook from 5-10 years ago. The playbook today is very different than any playbook that anybody has ever seen in this country. Now, I've seen it. I've seen how we used to do things at the Trump org. What he has done is he has put them on steroids. And these son of a bitches are benching 500-600 pounds like it's nothing. And they are succeeding. So when I turned around and I was saying to John Bolton, you best lawyer your ass up, my friend, and it's not going to make a difference, because I guarantee you there's a document in the House. There's a manuscript in the House. There is an email, on the computers, either in the House or the office. And they will use that. They will indict him, and he will suffer the same way that I did. You are up against a machine that is so big, so strong, so powerful that there is no way to avoid it. And that is what the plurality of Americans ended up voting for.
Yeah, damn right we voted for that. That's exactly where we are. That's exactly what we voted for. And if you voted for President Trump and you heard his campaign speeches and he said, I am going to obliterate the deep state, now you're seeing it actually begin to play out. So the only thing at this point that remains is, are you ready? Are you ready for what could and likely may happen? See, it's easy to watch from the bleachers and cheer as Comey gets arrested and this person gets come down. But then, are you ready for the other stuff? Do you have food? You have water? You have everything you need in case the craziness begins? It's happening. Tomorrow at 1 o'clock Eastern time, we'll see what's going on in Portland as they begin rioting out there. We'll watch overnight as more forces show up. But this is it. It has begun. You just need to be ready. I don't want to see anybody get in a position where they're not able to take care of themselves. All right. Before I go, let me just talk to you guys about Patriot Addict. You guys know I've been working with this company for quite some time. Hold on one second. I got to push the button here so I make sure. Okay, here it is. And today they want me to talk to you about the red knives. This knife normally retails for $70, but you can get it just for the cost of shipping. As I've detailed this knife many a time, it's a very sturdy knife. It's very sharp. It's not a small knife, and this is a working knife. Every single day, Robin and I use this one or the other one, and we're either cutting boxes or she's cutting fish from if she's been fishing. Extremely sharp. It's got the window breaker right there. It also has let me make sure I don't cut myself, a seat belt cutter right there as well. You can have this knife for free. Just the cost of shipping. Just hit the QR code right there or go to Berry Knife. It still has some tape on it from the last time we opened a box. BerryKnife.com. And the guys from Patriot Addict will get this out to you. I think the shipping is about $12 or $15, but you can have this, and normally retails at $70, and you can have it for free. Just pay the cost of shipping and it's yours. Thanks to the people at Patriot Addict for supporting the show. Just scan the QR code if you'd like to get it. All right, I got to do super chats because Robin's waiting for me to go to see Downton Abbey. I hope it's fun. I actually don't mind that movie. I used to watch the show with her when I didn't fall asleep, and so she wants me to go to the movie with her, and we shall do that. By the way, there was something out from Tulsi Gabbard earlier today where she was telling people from inside the administration not to tell people where they're going and what they're doing. And I personally think that's a good idea for everybody at this point, because things are going to get nuts. Absolutely nuts. All right, let's see here. Trumpinator. Trump want to save this nation. We must obliterate the deep state and leave no trace of it left. Absolutely. Got to take it out. Complete excising. So true. Trump had years to prepare, and the storm is now unleashed. The Dems are bleeding. The media is crumbling, and the deep state is breaking apart. 9 months in, the swamp is burning. The end game has begun, and there's no escape. All they have is violence. Be ready. Chapo. Obliterate the deep state. He said it. He meant it. He's doing it. We need to help him take our country back, and help yourselves as well. Larry, 1754. To Robin, we all in fanfare, thank you for allowing Barry the time he needs to put this program together. Not only the show itself, but the prep time before it as well. Thank you. I'm glad you guys see that. And I hope the show notes are helping you as well. Jen V. Barry, you made sense of the craziness, saved my life, and carried me through all the horrors of last year. If I don't watch your channel, I feel I don't have the news. Wow. Wow, thank you very much for that. Wow. Cutting Edge. We must study the Crusades and why they happened. There were 4 of them, and they were for the good of God, the true revolution of humanity, and the exclusion of tyranny. Absolutely. Cutting Edge. One of the 10 commandments says, thou shalt not kill. That it's simple translation from the Greek, but it never takes away your right to protect your land, your religion, and people. A certain religion made us pull the trigger. Well said. Nikki P. Unprecedented is not 1, but 2 former FBI directors indicted. It's coming. Yeah, really. That would be Christopher Wray and Comey. For Country First, thank you. David Yeoman. Why is Comey's daughter still working for the FBI? She's a cornered rat. I'm pretty sure she can't do anything. Every file she accesses, everything she's done has been. She's probably just cornered. I'm surprised she's probably staying there so she can get her pension or whatever. Brian McGabrock just got me some kimchi one. Oh, thank you very much. For Country First. Guess some don't know satire. Chapo, Stacey Abrams put $100 in a nonprofit and got $2 million. They know how to play the game and grease the right people. You're exactly right. $100 nonprofit and end up getting $2 million of your money. Contraband Zyra. Maybe we should relocate our nation's capital every 3 to 5 years. The deep state is too embedded in D.C. I agree. Randall Young. Here in Oregon and Washington State and local taxers are going to fund this BS. Be careful. Cindy. Still being censored. Yeah, to a certain extent we are. Dave Rutan, UNICEF is here in Canada as well. Every year as a kid we went out, come to find out about 25 years ago that 95% of the money was for in-house fees. Yep, stole it. Dave Rutan, Samaritan Purse is one of the few legitimate organizations out there. 95 to 90% of donations go to where they are meant to go and help people. Yes, I have investigated that and donated, as well as you guys have. Tinley, Epstein, Reuben is a tiny fish in a swarm, distracting so the whales can swim away. By the way, you're not allowed to spell Epstein correctly. Oh, okay, so you're having the, oh, wow. Gen V, we can't fail. We will end up one of the several power structures, NDO, government, no rights, pods and bugs, Islam with no rights and brutality for women, or vicious cartel violence, or both. Brian McGavick again. I knew a girl who lived in a Hotel California. It was a heroin house, bathroom at each end of the hallway. Yikes. Charmaine Rondon, Barry Almighty God is exposing it all. Yeah, we're seeing it in real time, too. Demon of Cybertron, Rudy is ready to take down another mob commission. I'd love to turn him loose. Sidney Brook, I voted for the outlaw, as we all did. Kelly Washburn, Antifa blew up the rapper. Yeah, which one? Not Ice-T, the other one. Yeah, but they blew up his tour bus. David Yeoman, Rudy for FBI director. That would be cool. Chapo, Greece used to have a terrorist group called November 17. Turned out it was run by the political parties to terrorize their opponents. They're gone now. Wow. Fazul, full force equals live, not rubber. Ooh, so we're going to see live ammo? Karen, Barry means exactly what you think it does. The game changer was when Antifa showed up to protest with a gun. Oh, God bless us. What the hell may be happening? The left sounds like Wile E. Coyote and the president is the Roadrunner. Okay, Moshi. And Captain Danny, someone please pinch me. Let's roll. I don't know if this one showed up down below, but American Patriot says, as a Marine hearing that from my commander-in-chief, that's telling me green light, use any means necessary to keep innocent civilians safe. This is no joke. The left can say peaceful protests all they want, but when they are enemy combatants, be vigilant. Wow, it's going to get ugly. It will get ugly very soon. All right, everybody, I will see you tomorrow. Not sure what time yet, but I will let you know. And enjoy your evening, wherever it's going to be. I get to go watch Downton Abbey. Have fun.